is that it is untenable. So we're at a crisis and we have to fix it. And the way we're going to fix it is by 1992, because we had successfully invited, we don't summon and call or boss ETs around. It's a diplomatic invitation. So let's get our linguistics down here. If you summon someone, you're at Downton Abbey, being the Earl of whatever, summoning the butler to bring you tea, right? We're not summoning ETs that way. We don't call them and they come at our beck and call. That is undiplomatic, it's demeaning, it's disrespectful, and it's the opposite of what we're doing with CE5 contact. That is not the consciousness behind it. The consciousness behind it is an invitation to make contact for peaceful relationship building between species, humans and non-human intelligence. It is not acquisitive. It's not to shoot them out of the sky with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, grab their technology, capture the living beings and put them under bases, or kill them. That operation is 180 degrees diametrically opposite of what CE5 contact teams are doing. I want to make this crystal clear, and I will say it 3 more times during the podcast. It couldn't be more different. And so people with their sort of superficial understanding of this can easily conflate those two, right? Couldn't be more different. They are absolutely not related. In fact, they are at complete opposite ends of what we should be looking at. So the one is an act of kinetic, militaristic, invasive, using psionics, violence, targeting of a craft, hijacking their control system. We'll get to this in a minute. I understand how it works. Moving them into 3D and into range, hitting them with a weapon, bringing them down, preferably in one piece, so they can be studied and reverse engineered. And sometimes the NHI people are killed, sometimes they're caught living, sometimes the ones that are captured are nanobiotechnological drones that are not the indigenous ETs, but ones that are very advanced. I've talked about this since the 90s, what is called nanobiotechnology, where you can have a living life form that's actually an operational being. And both ET civilizations have them for security purposes, but so do covert programs, by the way. And those are the guys, those creatures are the ones doing the abductions, the man-made drones or robots, but they're very sophisticated. I mean, some are kind of clumsy robotic and some are very biological. I've talked about this since the 90s. Now, the actual ET beings that often are on these craft, they often do get killed or they get captured. And I've been told by many of these special forces guys who've been in these bases that there's a number of them still in captivity, which they euphemistically call, I like the wordage they use, to sort of whitewash what's going on, refugees. Well, they're not refugees. They've been captured and they're prisoners of these aggressive military and corporate programs. So those need to be liberated. And we're working on that through a group of special forces guys, which I can talk a little bit about. Now, the CE5 contact is not geared towards any self-aggrandizing purpose. It's not to give you entertainment because you saw a UFO. It's not to get their technology so we can reverse engineer it and then beat the shit out of the ETs with it, which is what the military and corporate programs have done for 70 years. It's to make peaceful contact and develop a deep relationship between humanity, our species, and their civilizations, plural, of which there are many, for going forward in a time of not just world peace, but universal peace. That's why our motto is one universe, one people. And the foundation of universal peace is not shooting each other out of the sky so we can be the big monkey and figure out how to get their technology. That's not it. It's to create a future where we do have the technologies, we already have them, we don't have to keep shooting them down, that would run the planet with 0-point energy and free energy and no pollution, and in a generation eliminate all the suffering and poverty on the planet, create huge new advances in medical healing systems, all kinds of positive things. And the ETs want that. But we don't have to kill them. We don't have to capture them. We don't have to hijack their aircraft, their NHI craft, and we most certainly don't have to hit them with weapons to bring them down. This is not the way to do this. Absolutely not. It's immoral. It's dangerous. Now let me pivot for just one moment. This will disturb you. You may not sleep tonight. And I've known this for some time. But in the last 2 years, I've had 3 separate people who have been in comm centers, communication centers, at classified bases, that have told me there has been intercepted communications from NHI, that they're just about fed up with that nonsense of us targeting them, damaging them, captivating their people, and doing this in a kinetic, meaning violent. Kinetic is another euphemism in the military. Just kinetic is just, casualties and destruction, violence manner. And then that the problem is, because we have these advanced technologies that are psionic and technological, our craft, the ones that we have that are man-made, have pretty much reached almost an indistinguishable level with the NHI craft or ET craft. But by using this technology in an aggressive military and corporate way to simply get more and more of their stuff, their goodies, their technology, which is what all the billionaires want, right? Because they only think one way. How do I become a trillionaire if I'm a billionaire? That's all they care about, right? These civilizations out in space are absolutely fed up with that. And let me be clear about this. This is a warning and it is a threat. If we stay on that path much longer, the dangers to peaceful civilizations out in space and other trans-dimensional space-based civilizations is that it is untenable. So we're at a crisis and we have to fix it. And the way we're going to fix it is to stand down completely those aggressive weapon systems. Now, one of the executive orders that I have recommended to the incoming president and the Congress is an immediate cessation of the use of those systems that target, bring down these craft through a forced effort as opposed to peaceful contact. So we need to take that sword and all those tools they have, but turn it into this plowshare of open, peaceful contact without the ulterior, selfish motive of let's steal and reverse engineer more of their tech. We've already done that. It's been done for 70, 80 years. We don't need to recreate that wheel. We need to disclose the technologies that already are existing, that are to be used peacefully, not the things that fly, but the energy generation. But we don't need to go from one legacy program to something that would be equally misguided and would be using technologies that are psi-related aggressively or in a way that is forced. There should be no more forced takeover of the craft, and there should be no more striking of them with any type of electromagnetic weapon. So that needs to be done by an executive order and a law passed through Congress, and then it has to be enforced. And the way it's going to be enforced are the special forces guys who've separated from the military are now ready to work under a law enforcement team in the United States, and there's another team being stood up that could operate overseas. So I'm involved with briefing them, and I'm involved in trying to get them up to speed, but they can't act. My friends, listen, we live purportedly in a democracy. They can't act unless the president and the Congress acts. And because then they would be unconstitutional en route, right? So, which they don't want to be. They want to operate under the rule of law and the rule of the Constitution. So we need to write our leaders and explain, please pass the executive orders that Dr. Greer has provided in the presidential briefing document and the briefing document for Congress. Soon, we're going to publish that entire document, except with certain redactions for sensitive reasons, that everyone listening and everyone in the world can read. And it'll be a page turner. It's 310 or 20 pages, something like that.
Dr. Greer,